Hi, it's me, SkingloNafro. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I wanted to wait to do this video so that I could get my thoughts together, but I wanted to talk about two cases that are currently in the media at the moment. The first one is Blessing Olusegun. Basically what happened was September last year, she decided to go for a walk on the beach at 1 a.m. in the morning. 5 hours later at 6 a.m. her body was found. The police have basically closed the investigation and said that she died of drowning because they said that the autopsy report said that there was water in her lungs or whatever, but it's not making any sense. Why is she drowned? Why was her phone and her shoes far away from her body, lying on the beach? Secondly, I wanted to talk about Sarah Everard, because this is what kick-started people getting interested in the case of Blessing Olusegun. Now, I already knew about the case of Blessing from last year because I tend to spot things when I'm on social media. I tend to spot things, so I knew what had happened to her, unfortunately. But because of the massive hysteria with regards to Sarah Everard, what happened to her, basically she went missing on the 3rd of March. Her body was found last week, or should I say her remains were found last week, because it turns out that she was put into a suitcase after she was murdered. It was a police officer who murdered her. I am making sure to say that it was a police officer who murdered her. So yeah, she went missing on the 3rd of March. It took them around a week or so to find her body. And it just really, like, don't get me wrong, I really feel sorry for what happened to her. It should never happen to any woman. But it just also brings forward the point I constantly make, that black women are always seen as not worthy. They're not the perfect victim. Sarah Everard is basically, the way the media reported her missing and her death afterwards, and then there was protesting about what happened to her last week as well. It just really shows the terminology that is missing white woman syndrome. So, missing white woman syndrome is a term used by social scientists and media commentators to refer to extensive media coverage, especially in television, of missing person cases involving young white upper middle class women or girls. So there's the definition. I shall also put it up there. And this is basically what happened with the Sarah Everard case, or basically in general any white woman who goes missing, whether they're found or not. The media goes mad. A white woman is missing, the media goes mad. But when it's a black woman that's gone missing, it's as if they get given this two little lines in an article, as if that is sufficient. Why are black women not given the same amount of media coverage? Why is there always this perception that a black woman has just, run off or something? Or that it's just, it's a domestic violence, situation. We're never given the same level of love and tender care when it comes to us. Now, Sarah Everard was 33 years old when she initially went missing, and Blessing was 21 years old, a very, very, very young black woman, incredibly young, barely out of her teens. So, I'm currently on the independent website because I decided to get more details about the Blessing Olusegun case, because, like, sometimes it's a bit hard to just say the details from memory. So Blessing Olusegun was a 21-year-old business student from South London. She had been undertaking work placement as a carer for elderly patients with dementia in Bexhill in East Sussex. A week into her placement on Friday the 18th of September, Blessing was reported missing and later found dead by police on Glyn Gap Beach in Bexhill-on-Sea. Blessing's mother, Esther Abbey, was informed by police officers of her daughter's death on the same day. Police have said that Blessing was alone at the beach with only her slippers and mobile phone found at the scene, piled neatly around 300 metres away from where her body was found. A post-mortem release on the 13th of March showed that Blessing had drowned. There was no evidence of external and internal injury, the police said, so her death was deemed inconclusive. Now see, her death was deemed inconclusive, but yet post-mortem said that she had drowned. So which is it? Is it inconclusive, or did she drown? Because that's not making any sense to me. How can someone drown, but yet you as the police have said that it was inconclusive? What happened to her? That's not making no sense to me. And this is again what I am saying when it comes to black women going missing. Now, do you remember when I did a video, I believe it was 2019, about the disappearance of Joy Morgan and the racism surrounding that case as well? Here we go again. Here we go again, where black women are treated as if they are inferior, as if our lives do not matter. When we go missing, we do not get the same level. We don't get the same level of attention that white women get. Now, another thing that was mentioned this week on Twitter was that Sarah Everard's grandmother was actually Jamaican. She was from the Windrush generation, but as you can see, the perception of Sarah is that of a white woman. So therefore, that just shows you the nuances of this whole case. She was perceived as a white woman, so that's how her death was treated, or her disappearance was treated. She was seen as a white woman. They pay more attention to white women, so that's exactly why they pushed and pushed and pushed until they found her. But when you are someone who looks like Blessing Olusegun, very clearly a black woman, they don't care. It is just a shame that a 21-year-old died in such suspicious circumstances, and the police are saying it's inconclusive, but at the same time, it's inconclusive, but yet you said she drowned. Something very strange is going on here. And I don't know what to say other than racism is right in the center of it. It's at the core of it. It's the earth's crust. It's right there, and people cannot deny it. Sorry, it was Joy Gardner. She was born the 29th of May 1953 in Jamaica. Basically, they tried to deport her back in the 90s. Yeah, back in 1993, on the 1st of August 1993, they tried to deport her and her son. Well, they sent some information to her, to say that they was going to deport her and her 5-year-old son at the time to Jamaica. Now, her son was a British-born citizen, and they wanted to deport him as well, because as you know, in this country, if you do not have citizenship and you are the parent of a child, then that child also does not have British citizenship, unfortunately. She was 40 years old at the time. She was a mature student. She was living in London. She basically died after being detained during a police immigration raid on her home in Crouch End, when she was restrained with handcuffs and leather straps and gagged with a 13-foot length of adhesive tape wrapped around her head. Unable to breathe, she collapsed and suffered brain damage due to asphyxia. She was placed on life support but died following a cardiac arrest 4 days later. So she actually died on the 1st of August. And this incident happened. So It was October 1990 when she was first told by the police and the Home Office that they wanted to deport her. That she should either leave the country voluntarily or that they would deport her. In December 1990, she applied for a judicial review of her case, which was turned down in April 1991. A notice of intention to deport was served on her in October 1991, which she subsequently appealed. During the appeal process, a restriction order was applied, requiring her to report regularly to local police. The Immigration Appeals Tribunal denied the appeal and a deportation order was issued in April 1992. Gardner was interviewed by immigration officials again in early June 1992 and reported to Stoke Newington Police Station later that month. A flight to Jamaica was arranged for Gardner in the summer of 1992, but she failed to attend at the airport, stating later that she had not received notification to do so. So the police raid happened at 7:40 a.m. on the 28th of July 1993. 3 officers from the ADG, accompanied by 2 officers from Hornsea Police Station and an official from the UK Immigration Service, raided Gardner's home with orders to detain and remove her and her 5-year-old for immediate deportation to Jamaica. They knelt on her, punched her like a punching bag, used the chairs to hit her and stamp on her head and face in front of her 5-year-old son. Now imagine the trauma that would have done to her little boy, or should I say did to her little boy. The officers had with them a 4-inch wide restraint belt with attached handcuffs and leather straps and rolls of adhesive tape to restrain her thighs and ankles. When Gardner resisted the officer's attempt to place her in a restraint belt and bit one of the officers, she was overpowered, shackled, gagged, and adhesive tape was also wrapped around her head and face. She suffered respiratory failure almost immediately and was taken to the Whitkinson Hospital, North London. She died on the 1st of August 1993 due to cerebral hypoxia and cardiac arrest without ever regaining consciousness. The reason I chose to mention that case is because whenever it comes to the police and black people, we all know what's going on there. We all know what's going on. And I just find it so amusing that when black people have been screaming about police brutality for years and years and years and years and years, we generally tend to get ignored. But as soon as a white woman has been murdered by a police officer, wow, now everybody wants to go crazy. Now everybody wants to protest. Now nobody's attacking other white people for protesting for a white woman and for police brutality. You understand? Nobody is saying anything about that. But when it comes to black people, oh, those protests are not allowed to go on. Oh, it's racism while you're protesting. Oh, you're not allowed to do none of that. It is just so incredibly frustrating to be black in society today, to see that our deaths, our lives are not seen as worthy enough as receiving the same amount of attention. When we scream about police brutality, we are not allowed to talk about that, because it's not racism. Oh, it's just something that happens. But now, look at the madness that has ensued. Look at that madness. Now everybody understands what it's like. Now that the shoe is on the other foot, now you get what we have been saying for years and years and years and years. Now you understand it. Now you understand why the police don't care about blessing Olusegun. Now you understand why the police was the ones who murdered Joy Gardner. Now you understand why it was a police officer who was the one who was responsible for black boys being murdered in this country. Now you understand all these things. But when we said it before, when it was just a standalone situation, you didn't understand that before. But you understand it now. Interesting. because black people connecting the dots between police brutality towards them and racism, you don't understand that. But you understand when it's just police brutality against a white person. You know how dangerous it is to be, to be a woman. Do you understand how much dangerous it is to be a woman? And then put the fact that you're a black person on top of that. It's the scariest thing ever. Like, I send love to Sarah Everard's family. I honestly do send love to her family. But I do question why someone chose to mention the fact that her grandmother is from Jamaica. I mean, I really don't see the relevance in that, because as far as we can see, Sarah Everard was a white woman. So people trying to say, well, oh, we should be able to relate to it because her grandmother was from Jamaica. No, because that is a white woman. That is a white woman. Yeah, sure, her grandmother may be black as far as I'm aware, because we know full well it was black people who came over here during the Windrush generation. We know it was just black people. But people saying that, oh, we should pay more attention to this because her grandmother was Jamaican, I really don't see the relevance in that. I also want to talk about another woman. Her name was Sarah Reid. She died in a mental health hospital. She was a black woman. She died in a mental health hospital here in the UK. And I also wanted to mention that because also while we're on the topic of talking about black women and failures to protect them, this is the perfect example of that. Like, you know, I'm using perfect loosely because nothing is perfect about this situation, but this is just another example of how the police decide that black women are not worthy of their lives continuing, pretty much. So January 2012, Sarah Reid was found dead in her cell at Holloway Prison. She had been a victim of a notorious police brutality case in 2012 and suffered mental health issues known to police officers, doctors, social workers, lawyers and police. So why was she there? She was placed in prison, which she should not have been in the first place. She was dealing with mental health issues. This is a police brutality case once again. And it's just, it's like it just never ends. So it says, her mother, Maryland Reid, when Maryland visited her daughter in Holloway Prison on the 2nd of January, she was dismayed to find Sarah looking unwell and behaving strangely. She remembers the prison guard asking, have you got any idea what's wrong with her? It was a disconcerting question because prison staff should have known that Sarah Reid had serious long-standing mental health problems. So she already had mental health issues and they decided to put her in a prison. Now, I don't know about you, but if I know that someone has a mental health issue, why would they be placed into a jail cell? Like, why was she put into a jail cell when she has mental health issues? So it says 9 days later, Sarah, 32, was found dead in her cell. The family was told first by the prison that she was found hanging and later that she was found lying on her bed. Do you see the inconsistencies? Just like in the case of Blessing Olusegun, the inconsistencies, 1 minute she's drowned, next minute the case was inconclusive. Like, which is it? Which is it? The precise sequence of events in the months, days and hours leading up to her death will remain unclear until a inquest is held later this year. But see, there's not been a lot of information that has been released about that case, so we still don't really know what else has happened and why it happened. But I just wanted to skim over her case briefly because I felt like it was important to be mentioned. Because we can't keep just ignoring the problem that is what's going on. Because like I said, black women are going missing. Like, I believe the statistics are between 2018 and 2019. I'm trying to remember what the statistics are. I think it was 1,118,693 women, black women and girls went missing between the years 2018 and 2019. Now, the reason we don't have the statistics for 2020 to 2021 is because this year is still going. So, and that is a huge number, and you have to remember how small numbers we make up in this country, the UK. But when you look at that statistic, that number, that is a huge number of black women who are going missing. There was also 2 black women who went missing. Their bodies were found. The boyfriend of one of them was the one who found the bodies. And basically what happened was some of the police officers were taking pictures of the dead bodies of these 2 women. They were taking selfies with these women's bodies. Even in death, we get no respect. Even in death, we get no respect, because I don't understand how you can be a person who's supposed to be an officer of the law who is taking pictures of dead bodies, not just any dead bodies, but black women's bodies, and acting as if you like at a fun fair or something. Like, the disrespect and dehumanization of black women is too much. It's way too much. And they see no problem. They see no problem with their behavior. They honestly see no problem with their behavior. I wish they did, but they don't. They literally don't. And it's gotten to the point where I honestly don't know what the solution is for black women. Like, how do we stay safe? Like, how does any woman in general stay safe? But how do black women stay safe when we go missing, nobody cares? Nobody cares when we go missing. Nobody cares when we are dead. Like, who is there protesting for us? Who is there championing for us? Who is there advocating for us when black women go missing, or when black women die, or when black women have mental health issues, or when black women are going through struggles when they're pregnant or when they're in labour? Who is the one that is championing for us? That's what I want to know. Who is that person? But I'm going to round this video up here, but I do also want to state that racism, like I said several times throughout this video, racism plays a huge part in what is going on here. It plays a massive part in what's going on here. You can't keep denying it, because there's so much evidence now. The fact that there is a term, missing white woman syndrome, that tells you how white women are treated when they go missing in comparison to everybody else, should tell you that racism is involved. Because white women are seen as the perfect victims, but black women are not afforded that same luxury. Even though it's not luxury to go missing, it's not luxury to die. Black women are not afforded that same level of attention and care for them. And I wish that wasn't the case, but unfortunately it is. It's a fact. It's a sad fact. Nobody wants to embrace it. Nobody wants to talk about that. But the fact is, it is. Because I'm trying to figure out, Blessing was on the phone, and she literally said to her boyfriend and one of her friends, "Can you stay on the phone with me?" Because she did not want to be alone. And then she was just found. Like, how can a black woman's body be found on the beach? Yeah, her shoes and her mobile phone was found nowhere near her body, and you're trying to say that she drowned. You're literally trying to say that she drowned. And then one minute you're saying she's drowned, and the next minute you're saying it's inconclusive. Which is it? You know that something happened to that woman, and it was not drowning. And when her family wanted to do a private inquest, you told them no. When her family wanted to do a private post-mortem, you told them no. Like, they were denied. Like, Blessing, as far as I'm aware, has been buried back in Nigeria. And it's just like, when will her family see justice? When will any black person families see justice for what has happened to them? That's honestly what I want to know. When are they going to see justice? Because this can't keep continuing on. It cannot keep continuing on. It's tiring, it's frustrating, and the most important thing to say is actually frightening. It is frightening to see this keep happening. Because like I stated in my video about Joy Morgan, when she went missing, not a lot of attention was brought to that case either. It took a long time for her body to be found. A long time. Plus the time delay from when she was actually reported missing. It's like, why do you hear about a black woman going missing and you're saying, I'm not going to bother to look for her. No, I'm not going to do that. It just saddens me that nobody cares. That nobody cares at all about us. They don't. It really saddens me. And I'm just tired. So that is the end of this video. Please let me know your thoughts down below. Don't forget to comment, like and subscribe, and I shall see you tomorrow for some more YouTube videos. Okay, bye.